Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. So glad to have you here tonight. Let's get this up and see who we have on. Go ahead and comment and let me know if this is your first time live so I can give you a little shout out. And let's see how your week went. Last week was a pretty busy week for me. This week has been way less chaotic. So that is a good sign. Okay, let's go ahead. See one person on. See if we can see any comments. And tonight we're going to be using Pick of the Patch. This is a Stamp and Builder Punch combo by Stampin' Up! And I will be making a couple of fall cards. Hello, Cynthia. And of course, I will be adding in some other products to go along because you know I like to do that. And anyway, Cynthia, did I say hello? I can't remember already. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. So, one thing I want to let you guys know about is in the online exclusives today. Hello, Tracy. Stampin' Up! Has added a new stamp set for Hanukkah. We had one that was supposed to go live in July and they pulled it because it didn't meet standards. And so today they have released in the online exclusives, Celebrate the Miracle. And this is what the stamp set looks like. It is a, let's see if it tells me here, 19-piece photopolymer set. So available in the online store today if you have need of that. Okay, let's go ahead and get right in. We've got quite a bit to get through today, and I'm hoping that it doesn't take us too long, but I've got a couple of different techniques that we're going to be using. So we're going to set this aside, and we are going to get started. Okay, so our first card will use the autumn leaves in addition to Pick of the Patch. We're also going to be using Merriest Trees, specifically this tag die here, which is fabulous. And then we're going to be using those Abundant Beauty decorative masks. We're going to be using the houndstooth tonight. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out so we have it handy and ready. And then we're also using the Leaf Fall 3D embossing folder. Okay, just perfect for those fall cards. We're using Black and Very Vanilla Gingham. And I've got several stamp pads that we're going to be using, but I have some of them in another bucket. So we're going to have to be borrowing our buckets. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I've already done some of the die cutting. And from the Merry Trees, this tag right here, I have already cut one Very Vanilla tag and one Crumb Cake tag. I also cut in Early Espresso this piece, which is the reinforcer for that tag, and this is what it looks like. It folds. So we're going to be using that. Let's set that aside. So I've already pre-done those. And I pre-embossed that Leaf Fall embossing card or embossing folder on a piece of Early Espresso, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And then got my envelope ready. Did I seriously not? Oh, yeah, I think it's right here. I think this is it. Nope, that is not it. That's the piece I already did. I must be using this one. Okay, well, we're going to get it figured out. I've got to cut, we have to do some embossing, and we need a 3.5 by 3.5 by 4.5, I think. 3.5 by 4.5. We're going to go with that because that'll be plenty long enough, and we can trim it if we need to. And we're going to be using, oh, you know what? No, we're not. We're not even using that. Okay, I need the crumb cake piece right here that I already have pre-cut. Right here, pre-cut. There we go. Forgot for a minute what I was doing. Okay, but we are going to use this piece because we're going to stamp in Cajun Craze this large maple leaf from the autumn leaves. And I got my new stamp set. My first stamp set didn't make quality, so this one you're going to find is going to be absolutely gorgeous. This is a distinctive stamp set, so you can see all the distinction in the colors. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And let's just put that away. And then we're going to cut this out with the matching die from Autumn Leaves. And wow, that was fast. Look at that. Okay, we also need to take some pumpkin pie here. And we're going to stamp the large pumpkin in pumpkin pie. And I'm going to look at my punch to see how I need to punch that, or how I need to stamp that. I need to stamp it this direction, and I'm going to do it right over here. Okay. And then we'll just punch that out. And there's our pumpkin. So now we need a pumpkin stem. And that stamp is right here. So we need some pecan pie for that. So we're just gonna give that a little press. Now we're done with the pumpkin pie for the moment. We're gonna need that again in just a minute. I'm gonna bring that punch back in and slide that little stem into my punch and punch that out. Now that's ready for my card. Okay, and before I lose that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a glue dot because that is so tiny. And take my glue dot and I'm going to put it in the middle of the top of my pumpkin on the reverse side. And then I'm just going to take and press my pumpkin right down on that stem. And now I can set that aside. It's ready to use. Okay. Now let's go ahead and bring in our piece of crumb cake cardstock and our houndstooth mat here. I'm going to bring this in because this one's nice and big and I really like how that works. So I'm going to put just a little bit of adhesive, removable adhesive on the back of that. I'm going to take my houndstooth and a couple of pieces of Post-it tape here, making sure that that's level. Okay. And then I'm going to get my blending brush. I'm going to start with some pecan pie. And I'm going to set my ink pad on my silicone mat so that it doesn't move. And then I'm going to lightly go over this with my pecan pie. Give that a decent amount of saturation here. Okay. Then I'm going to take my pecan pie, close that up, and I'm going to move to early espresso. And I'm going to give this just a quick little wipe on my rag. This is just an old towel that I've cut up just to get some of that pecan pie off. And then I'm going to take my early espresso and I'm going to move my mask. Now you can see what we did there. Now I'm going to take and put my mask so that it covers up what we just did completely. Try and line that up as best I can. And then I'm going to take my early espresso and I'm going to go back over this. And you are going to be amazed at how beautiful this looks when you are done. So instead of a single color, we're going to have a double color. Okay, my tape. I didn't put my tape in the right spot here. Let's get this back up here so it's actually on the paper and not the silicone mat. Okay, it looks like I want a little bit more color down here in this corner. All right, now I'm going to lift this up and see if I'm happy with that. And I am. Okay. So this is now the piece that we have when we started with a piece of crumb cake cardstock. So you can just barely see a little bit of crumb cake there. And then we've got the pecan pie and the early espresso showing through. That's pretty cool. Okay, now I did that to save us some time. I already did pumpkin pie and Cajun craze on Very Vanilla. So we didn't need to do both pieces. And we've got that right here. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you do Very Vanilla cardstock with pumpkin pie and Cajun craze. Okay, we need to take and cut this into 1-inch strips. And I need 2 of those. And of course I could have done that smaller, but now I have some pieces left over that I can use for another card. If you're doing it, you might as well do extras. And I'll just slip that into here. Okay, I've also cut from the Autumn Leaves dies the veins for the large leaf here in Early Espresso. And then also from the Autumn Leaves, I've cut, oh, I needed some more pumpkins. But I've already done these, so we're good. Okay, so I've cut from the Autumn Leaves this label but this label is larger than what I want. So we are going to slip this into our mini with the autumn leaves dies. Ooh, hang on, let me see where I put those autumn leaves dies because I'm not seeing them. There they are, right here. Handy dandy. So I'm going to take this die. Okay. And I'm going to recut this to the size I want. So let's grab our mini cut and emboss machine and bring that in here. And pull that out. We're going to use plate 1 and plate 2. And then with this particular die, when you cut it out, you have these little piercings. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put my die right back in here. And because I've already pre-done this, I know I want 5 piercings for this. So I'm just going to lay that down, lock that in place with those little piercings here. Line that up. Of course, now it doesn't want to cooperate. It should lock right in. There we go. Nice and solid. I'm just going to put a little piece of Post-it tape there because this one's being a little stubborn. And then I'm just going to run this back through. I might have actually gotten that a little bit larger than I wanted. Yeah, I only have 4. We're going to make that work though. Okay, so now we've got this piece for our label. We can move our machine out of our way. And put our die back so we don't lose it. And then this is going to serve as our sentiment piece. So let's go ahead and stamp that sentiment piece. And I'm going to use a Harvest of Blessings, an early espresso ink. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink up the blessings. That's all I want. Ooh, almost dropped that. Okay. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Laura. Hello, Lynette. Welcome, welcome. Okay, then I'm just going to put this down here in the center. Okay. And then I'm going to clean that off on my chamois. I want to make sure I get that good and dry. So I'm just going to rub it on my hand. And then I'm going to take a Harvest of, and I'm just going to ink that up. Now you could put a piece of Post-it tape over the blessings if you want to ink it up and then remove that. But this is working for me, so this is how I'm going to do it. And then I'm just going to stamp down a Harvest of, and there is our sentiment. So now instead of one single line, I have a double lined sentiment that fits in our label. I really like to alter my things to fit so that I get more use out of my products. Okay, I think we are now ready to start putting our card together. Okay. Let's see, what did I do with my, there it is, my sample card. Hello, I gotta know what I'm doing here. Okay, it's feeling like one of those days. All right, let's just get those out of the way now. There's the envelope. Let's get that out of the way. Bring in the card base. I've got a crumb cake card base. This is a standard A2 card base, 5.5 by 8.5, and scored in the middle at 4.25. I'm just going to burnish on that score line. And then we're going to bring in that leaf fall embossed piece, which is right in front of my face here. I'm going to add this to our card, and because this is 3D embossed, I'm going to use some Tombow liquid adhesive. So I get some good adherence and get the glue down into those nooks and crannies so that it will really hold. Okay. Plus it gives me a little bit of wiggle room there. Okay, so we've got that. Next, we're going to take our houndstooth pieces. I need 2 pecan pie and 1 of the Cajun craze. And let me check the length on these. No, these are looking, yeah, just about the way I want them. Okay, so on these now, I'm just going to use some liquid glue again because they're going on top of the embossing. So I'm just going to toggle this like so. I'm going to put the other crumb cake pecan pie early espresso combo over here like so. And then we'll put the very vanilla pumpkin pie and Cajun craze one in the middle. And up just a bit, like so. Okay, now I'm going to bring in those tags. And I'm going to stagger my tags like this. So I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal right there at the bottom so that my glue doesn't go over the top. I'm going to toggle those up like so. And then I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue here on my reinforcer piece. And put that down like so. Give that a good press, then I'm going to just fold that over and hold it for a minute. Oh, I know what I forgot to do at the beginning. Okay, let's get our gingham ribbon. We should have done this first so it had plenty of time to dry. And let's bring in our scrap paper and our bow jig. This is how I measure how much ribbon I need. I'm pretty sure I did this size, and I want to go a double. And because I'm coloring this, I want to cut it off of the bolt, and that's why I'm doing it this way. Normally I wouldn't do that, but okay, we need a little extra here to make this work. There we go. That's how I like to measure my ribbon. So now we're going to take this, and with the Natural Tones Deep SU100 marker, I'm going to take the brush tip and I'm going to just color this. So that it matches my project. So I'm just using the marker brush tip And as I do that, I rotate my marker tip brush so that it gets a little, I'm hoping to get even wear out of it that way. Okay, so now we've got that ready. We can set it aside and let it finish drying while we finish putting together our card. So we've got this, and then next we need to add our vein to our pumpkin. And I'm just going to do that with a little bit of liquid glue. And remember with Tombow, if you can see it, it's enough. We don't need much. And I'm not going to put any on the stem piece itself because that is going to be below the leaf. So we're just going to take this and add it here, like this. I love this leaf. It is beautiful, isn't it, Tracy? Okay, so now that is ready to add to our card. Got that piece. Okay, from the stamp set, we need one more pumpkin. And we need that in pumpkin pie. So we're going to grab this pumpkin. And this pumpkin needs to go into the punch this way and sideways. Okay? So I'm just going to take my pumpkin pie ink. Oh, and actually, I want Cajun Craze. Whoa, wait a minute. Let's go with, oh, you know what I did? I took this. I'm remembering now what I did. And I grabbed a sponge dauber and the Cajun Craze ink, which I have set where? Okay, let's move the pumpkin pie. Let's take our sponge dauber and we're just gonna run that around the outer edge just to give it a little more depth and definition. And then remember, it needs to go on our very vanilla cardstock that way. And then we'll take our punch and cut off that big leaf because that's in my way. And I still don't have it down small enough. Okay, let's do that. And we can put it in like this. Punch that. And again, we're going to take our stem with the pumpkin or with the pecan pie. Man, you would not believe the mess I have already for just this card. Wow. I'm an amazingly messy crafter. Okay, so I'm just going to take this little tiny slip of cardstock that would normally just be a piece we would toss, and I'm going to punch out that stem. Okay. All right. So again, we're going to use a glue dot, but this time I'm going to turn my stem the other direction. We used it this way on the larger pumpkin. I'm going to use it this way on this smaller pumpkin. I just like the way it looks better. You can do whatever you like, but this is what I like. And then I'm just going to put that right there like I did before. And now we have our two pumpkins. And we should be just about ready to put this all down. So let's bring back in that ribbon. Now, when you use marker on the ribbon, it tends to get stiff. So I like to take my bone folder once it's dry and just run my bone folder along there. And that softens it back up. Okay. And then we're going to tie this bow. And before I get it too tight and I can't work with it, I'm going to pull my pieces apart. Okay, there we go. All right, so there we go. Now we have a beautiful double bow all ready to go for our project. So let's go ahead and add this to our card base. I'm just going to put that down like so. I want everything showing top and bottom. Okay. Then we'll add our leaf. And again, I'm going to put that down flat. I'm running out of tape there. I have a refill ready to go though. I am going to add just a titch of liquid glue to the stem, just so it doesn't get caught in the envelope and stuff. And then I'm going to put this down so it's at an angle and like that. Okay, then we're going to grab our dimensionals and take our pumpkins. And we're going to add one pumpkin here. And I only put one dimensional on the right-hand side on the back of this smaller pumpkin. And that's because this pumpkin is going to overlap my larger pumpkin. So it'll be supported there. And finally, we're going to add our greeting. Well, I shouldn't say finally, because we still have a couple more things. And this, we're too going to pop up. But what we're going to do with this one is we're just going to put our dimensionals on the bottom here, because I'm going to center it on those pumpkins that are already popped up. We're just going to put it like so. And we're going to grab our bow. And we're going to take a couple of glue dots there. And I like to take one glue dot on these bigger bows. I want to put one on the left and one on the right of the knot. And then I'm going to set that right in there like so. And then I'm going to trim these off. And then to finish it off with a little bit of bling, we're going to add some adhesive backed sparkle gems. And I'm going to use the champagne colored ones. And I'm going to take a large one and put it, it flipped itself over. Not where I wanted it. Okay, we're going to put a large one there. Small one there. And that one flipped itself too. Okay. And then we'll put another small one right there. Okay. And then for the inside of our card, I think I used my berry vanilla piece. Let's grab an inside. That's not it. Wrong case. This is the inside pieces. I need one of those. And we're just going to take this and we're going to put it along the bottom here. So let's turn this right side up. I'm going to run a little bit of liquid glue along the bottom there. Give that a nice even border. And then we're going to take this, and I'm going to take my pumpkin again. And this time I'm going to use, well, let's use the big one so I don't have to clean. I'm going to use the big one. Take our big pumpkin, some scrap paper. I'm going to stamp this off. And then I'm going to stamp it on. I'm going to get my there's a patch punch here. I've already cut a mask for my pumpkin. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it right there. Take my pumpkin pie and my stem, and I'm just going to stamp that down. There we are. There's the inside of our card. Ready to go. Now for the outside of our card, or for the envelope, I spent a little extra time and I used a mask. So I took the new heartfelt hexagon punch and I punched out a piece of Post-it note and I put that down, and then I ink blended using that houndstooth pattern so that you can still have the pattern on the outside of the envelope. Makes it a little extra fancy, but yet you can still see your writing. And so I went a little bit darker on the outside rows and then lighter on the inside. I hope you like that. Thanks, Tracy. I'm so glad you think that's a cute card. Something a little different for the fall, but I think it turned out very nicely. All right, so let's clean up and we can get started on the actually a little bit more intense card. We're going to use that watercolor technique that we used a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do that again. I don't know where I put those. Okay, well, we'll just throw that in there and we'll figure it out later. All right, so let's get these things out of our way. All the extras. All right, and we need this. So let me clean up just a little bit because I do have quite the mess. Okay, so let's bring in our silicone mat because that's where we're going to start with this card. We're going to get our watercolor paper out and get that done so it can be ready to go. Let me switch out my buckets here. Okay. All right, let's bring in our supplies. So I've got a card base in Cajun Craze, standard A2, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle. This is a piece of our fluid 100 watercolor paper. I've already cut a piece of vellum using the deckled circles, guys. And I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8th largest die for those. We're also going to be using the Trekking Along bundle, and I'm basically just using the pickup stamp. And in addition, we're going to be using sketch plaid. Okay, so we'll do this one next. But let's get this going. Get these all put back so I don't smush them up with the wrong colors of stuff. Let me get this out of the way. This is for the pickup. All right, but I got to get all this stuff out of the way from the water. And what did I do with my spritzer? Hang on. I had my spritzer here. I made sure I filled it with water, and it's fallen over, and that's why I can't see it. Okay. So let's start by putting our ink down. And we are going to use Old Olive, crushed curry, Cajun Craze, and a little bit of cherry cobbler right here. Okay, so we're going to use these 4 colors. I'm going to start with crushed curry. I'm just going to put down some yellow. And then I'm going to move to Old Olive. Put down some Cajun Craze. And finally, I'm going to add some cherry cobbler. Okay. And then I'm going to spritz this with some water. Thanks, Lynette. Okay. Then I'm going to bring this Fluid 100 watercolor paper over. Let's make sure we get this in. I'm going to get all of this out of the way so you can see it all. And then I'm going to lightly spritz my paper. I don't want it to be too wet. And then I'm going to dip and dip and dip and dip. Okay. And it looks like I could use a little more liquid here just to get that good. I want to make sure that I get everything. A little spot there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's put a little bit of that in there. Okay, so there we go. Now, I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe this off. You could do several more card bases with what you have left, but we need to clean this up and move on. So that's what we're doing. And then I'm going to take, and I'm going to move this to here. I've got a bigger silicone mat there. And then I'm going to dry this. And each time you do this, you're going to get a different result. Depending on what colors you put in, where you put the colors, how it runs together. If you decide you don't have enough green, enough red, enough whatever, you can go back and add more. I'm happy with this though. I think this is going to suit my purpose. And I'm going to dry both sides. And then I'm going to set that aside for a minute. I'm going to wipe that back up because I have more ink there. And let's grab a baby wipe just to make sure I don't end up with a bunch of extra ink where I don't want it. Okay. This is kind of a messy technique, and for those who know me, you know I don't really care for messy techniques, but this really turns out beautifully, and it's worth it. Okay, so that looks like it's dry enough for what we need to do. So we're going to bring this in. Now, I've already done a piece where I did just greens, and I did Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, and Granny Apple Green. And I got all kinds of ink on my fingers. Let's get that off. And then dry my hands on my pants. And then let's grab our die. We're going to use the Natural Prints dies. We're going to make a wreath card. And I'm going to take this lovely wreath here. And we're going to get, for this one, we have to have the Big Boss, because the wreath die is more than 3.5 inches. So we're going to take and put this in. Set that in like that. And then I'll have all of this over here for whatever I need. So I'm going to look and see how that's going to, there, I want some of that green in there. So I'm going to set that like that. Put my top plate on. And then I'm going to run that through the machine. And I'm going to roll it back because the Fluid 100 watercolor paper is quite dense. And then before I move it, I'm going to flip it over and it doesn't look like it's cut all the way. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put this down, put my top on, and then I'm going to flip that whole sandwich, the 2 top plates and the die and the paper, so that my die is cut side up, and I'm going to run that back through. Okay, and now when we pull that off, we're really cut well. Okay, now let's go ahead and bring this out. Now you could save this piece and cut some leaves out of there from the autumn leaves or whatever. I won't be throwing that piece away. I will be utilizing it. And then I'm just going to pop these little pieces out. And this now is my wreath. Beautiful, huh? I'm glad you like that technique, Jennifer. It's so easy and so worth the effort. Okay, I've got a couple more little pieces here that are being a little stubborn. Let's pop those on out. Okay, now as I said, I did that with greens earlier. And so now we have a green one, and then we have our fall looking one, and we're going to put those together. Got our card base. Set that aside. this out of the way. We've got a piece of 4 by 5.5-inch Very Vanilla. And with this piece, I'm going to take the sketched plaid, which I've covered up somewhere. Man, I just showed that stamp set to you guys. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my sketched plaid and I'm going to take my, you guys aren't having any trouble hearing, are you? I'm using my AirPods and sometimes it dies. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that to a plate. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp in Memento Tuxedo Black. Just going to ink that up really well. Then I'm going to place my cardstock down on the stamp. And then I'm going to place scratch paper. Then I'm going to take my block and I'm going to rub that over the top. And lift that all off. And now here's the background for our piece. And we'll set that out of the way so I don't get ink everywhere. So this is the basis for our card base. So we're going to take our Cajun Craze cardstock now. Excuse me. Kind of hitching my giddy up there in the back of my throat. And we're going to burnish our card base. I'm going to add this piece that we just made to the card base. And we've got that. Okay, now we need that circle. I need some scrap vanilla too. Let me get some vanilla cardstock that we can stamp on because we still have some stamping to do. So let's just go ahead and cut us a piece. We can do all of our stamping all at once. I'm just going to cut myself a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. And I'm going to get our truck. And we're going to stamp our truck. Basic black on Very Vanilla. And then we need 3 of the little Cajun Craze, the tiniest little pumpkins in the set. We need 3 of those. Actually, we need 4. These do not have a punch. They have to be fussy cut. What in the world? I'm doing a terrible job stamping those down. Okay, so we've got those, and then we also need stems. So let's get our little stems, and I'm just going to take a scrap piece here. And I did it in the wrong color. That's not good, but it doesn't matter. I've already got those done, you guys. So let's just go with it. So you need 4 of those, and then you need in crushed curry. You need the crooked neck squash. Okay. and another stem for that. So you need one more stem. All right. All right. So I've already done all that. And then out of this, you would also cut from the autumn leaves another one of those labels that we just used. But I've already done the label. I cut it down already. It's the same size as the other one. And then I took my light Cajun Craze marker and I just ran across the cardstock. I did not want full on Cajun Craze. I wanted a lighter version. So in order to accomplish that, I just took my Stampin' Blend and ran across there. Okay, so we can stamp our sentiment on there. We're going to go ahead and color our pickup. And I'm just going to show you quickly because, of course, I've already done this. We need some pumpkin pie. So I'm going to start with my dark. And I'm just going to color in along the wheel wells with the dark up here, at the back of the pickup bed, at the bottom, a little bit more on the wheel well here, and then down the back there, at the top of the pickup there, and right along the front. Okay, and then I'm going to fill that in with my light pumpkin pie. Like so. Blending those colors together. Okay. And we've got the light pool party. That goes in the windows. Light basic black. For the tires. I'm not doing a very good job of coloring this because I'm trying to color so quick. And then we've got light gray granite for the hubcap and the bumpers. And finally, dark gray granite for the centers and the steering wheel. Okay, now there's a punch for this, which I'm not sure where I put. Oh, here it is. So we're going to take our truck punch and we're just going to punch this out. This punch is currently on stop sale until October something or other. It's like October, the week of October 9th, it got moved up. So then we just need to punch that out. We fussy cut our pumpkins and put those together. Okay. And I've got 3 of the pumpkins done. So let's get, I need to fix this because I do need the 1 pumpkin plus the crooked net squash. So we're going to need 2 of those pecan pie stems for that. Then a must-step. So let's do that real quick. 1 and 2. Punch those out real quick. Oh, and if you do like I just did and it doesn't fit, just grab yourself a Post-it note. Stick that on there. And make yourself a little extended handle. Just makes your cardstock a little bit longer to fit right into that punch. And then you don't have to worry about how long your cardstock is. Okay? So we've got that. Let's hand cut one of these pumpkins right here. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a border because my punch leaves a border on the rest of my stuff. Okay, so we're just going to quickly cut this out. And then that will give me the pumpkins that I need. Okay. Uh-oh, did I lose one of my... Oh, man. Oh, no, nope, here it is. I didn't lose it. And we need the crooked neck squash. Now, with the crooked neck squash, I don't need much of this. So I really am just going to cut off that much. That's really all I need. Not even that much. And I'm going to cut that out. Leave a little bit of a border. And I really don't want that much. Maybe that much. Okay. Blue dots are our friends here. One little glue dot there. And grab that little stem. And the same thing here. Grab the stem. And I really want a tiny little stem on this one, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, so there we are. Now we can start putting all of our pieces together. Oh, the last thing that you need to do on the truck, don't forget to do this before you put it on your wreath, because trust me, it's not real easy once you do it on your wreath. So we're going to take Early Espresso ink and the Farm Fresh stamp. And I'm going to put this right there on the door. Just like so. Okay. So now we have our pieces ready to go, and we're going to start building those on our truck here, or on our vellum. So let's find our, oh my goodness, what a mess. We have got to get our silicone mat, and where did I throw that? Right here. Okay, so let's put this down. And I'm going to get some liquid glue, and I'm going to keep my liquid glue on this time on the outside, or on the inside. I just want to put liquid glue on the insides of my leaves. Now you could use an adhesive sheet here. Okay, so we've got that. Go ahead and set that down on our vellum. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with our fall colored wreath. Okay. And then I don't want these to look the same, so I'm going to alter them. Or not alter them, but alternate them. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so I've got that. And now I'm ready for this to adhere to my card front. And then I can finish building. So this time I'm going to go along the outside of my vellum here. And I don't have to be so careful. And then I'm going to put some on the outside edges of the leaves that I can see here. Whoa. And then I'm just going to lay this down however I think I want it. And I'm going to put that there. Okay, and then we're going to take our Farm Fresh. Now I got sticky on my hands. And before we adhere that, we're going to put one crooked neck squash in our in the bed of our pickup. And we're going to use glue dots for that. And I'm going to put the glue dots on the front of this piece. And then I'm going to lay my truck down. That's too high for what I want. I might need to cut that actually. I might have got that too tall again. Man, my fingers got sticky. They don't usually get sticky. I don't like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's do this. Put this down here like so. We're going to grab our pumpkin, one of our pumpkins. And I did this before. I did it wrong before. Put your pumpkin in first. Put it at the back of the bed of the pickup. Like so. And then add your squish in there. Just to give it a little bit of fullness and a little bit of added color. Then once we do that, then we'll add some glue dots to our pickup truck here. And I'm going to put that right down here in the center, like so. I'm going to get some more pumpkins. We need 2 more pumpkins. Whatever I've got extra, I'll just put into a baggie in my stamp case for another project. So let's go ahead and put this here. I'm not going to press these down too hard in case I want to move them. Okay, so I've got that. Then we're going to take our sentiment piece and we need to stamp that. And again, we're going to use the Harvest of Blessings. I really like that saying, and I really liked how this looked. So we're going to take basic black again. Well, this time. Last time, yeah. And we're going to do blessings. And I'm going to stamp this down there. Clean that off. Dry it up well. Make sure I didn't get any ink on there where I didn't want it. And there we are. Now we have that ready. Okay. So again, we're going to pop this up, and I'm going to put my dimensionals at the bottom. And I'm going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to grab our gingham ribbon again. If we can find it. Good grief. Right here. Okay. And again, we're going to do a double bow. This time we're just going to use our ribbon as is. So I'm just going to tie this up. And again, I'm going to separate those loops. Press that down. Cut that right from the bolt. And more glue dots. add that to the center, the top. Press that down. Trim that end. This one looks like it could use maybe just a tiny little trim. And then we're going to add our sentiment in here, just like that. And then to finish this off, we're going to get the adhesive back speckle dots. And I would take your pick tool. And I'm going to use some old olive. And put one there. And I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 there. And then let's go 1, 2, 3. And 1 there. And I'm going to put a green one right there. And another copper clay one right there. Okay. And there is our card. Okay. And believe it or not, I did not finish the inside of this card, nor did I do up an envelope. But I will finish that up and I will post it on the page so you can see that. Okay, so let's bring in our first card. And these are the projects that we made tonight. I hope you like them. And I hope that inspires you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for the hearts. So glad you liked that. And I will see you back here next Tuesday night at 7. Good night.